Dear viewers at home, this is your friend and brother, Benny Obi Sugar. Welcome to my podcast. We are focusing on today's podcast majorly on politics, especially River State crisis. And here with me, I have two guests here with me, and I have a barrister and a public affairs analyst. For my right hand, I have Barrister Bankole and Mr, a legal practitioner. And from the left hand side, I have Mr. Wande popularly known as Wande. He is a local government coordinator and an APC member in Wande State. Also, he's a public affairs analyst. Mr. Wande, welcome to my show.
Thank you very much, sir.
Barrister, welcome to my show.
Thank you for
without wasting much of our time, we witnessed all the whole scenario and the discussion so far regarding River State crisis. Now, I just want to let my viewers at home have some kind of a legal discussion around this. Also, I want the public opinions to count in this conversation. So, permit me now to throw this question to you, because we don't have much time to waste anymore. That what is your view on the recent proclamation of the state of emergency in River State?
Thank you
because I believe you are a legal practitioner.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
I'll start by saying that there's no crisis in River State.
Really?
Whatever is happening in River State now is said in news, and it has no standing in law. Reason being that, truly the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so 2 days ago, I think, made a proclamation of state of emergency in River State. Now, one would ask that what is state of emergency itself? State of emergency is more or less like a policy thing. It has nothing to do with governance. It has a lot to do with governance, but it's more of a policy thing. Now, for instance, let me tell you why I say it's confused. If you look at Section 1, Sub 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria,
okay,
Section 1, Sub 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria states that no one shall rule Nigeria or any part of Nigeria. Shall rule Nigeria or any part of Nigeria. No one. But whosoever is supposed to rule Nigeria or any part of Nigeria has to do that in accordance with the Constitution. Now, what does this mean? To be elected as governor, there are criteria, there are processes. The Constitution states the criteria and the processes. Now, in the entire Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, there is no place where it says any part of Nigeria shall be ruled or shall be governed by a sole administrator.
Even in the case of crisis.
Yes, it is very strange to our Constitution. It is very strange. Even the Constitution provides that in time of war, the National Assembly or the State House of Assembly, as the case may be, can extend the period of governance of whosoever is in office at that time. Let's say, for instance, Nigeria is at war, and His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president. The National Assembly can make a resolution to extend his tenure during the time of war, because there's no way you can go into election in the period of war.
Okay.
Now, truly, Section 305 talked about proclamation of state of emergency. But if you read the entire Section 305, the entire Section 305 does not give the president the power to suspend, remove, or off any elected office holder. At best, what the president can do is to make such a proclamation. When it has to do with the federation, it has nothing to do with the governor or the House of Assembly. But when it has to do with any part in Nigeria, that request must first be made by the governor and support by 2/3 majority of the House of Assembly of that particular state.
Sorry for the objection. Did you glance through the speech of Mr.
Yeah, I read
President?
the speech of the president.
But I thought the whole thing that you mentioned was stated there.
No, that is exactly what I'm trying to explain. If the president is to make a proclamation of state of emergency for the Federation of Nigeria, he needs not to consult the governor or members of the House of Assembly in the state. But when it has to do with making a proclamation of state of emergency in a state, that request must come from the governor of that state. And that request, yes, and that request must be supported by 2/3 majority of the House of Assembly. That request will therefore be sent to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It is only then that the President of the Federal Republic can make proclamation of state of emergency in respect of the state. Now, if you look at the scenario of what happened, the governor of Rivers State and the members, 2/3 majority of the members of the House of Assembly of Rivers State did not do that. Yes, considered the constitution makes certain exceptions. However, the operating term where the president can so motu without recourse to the governor and the House of Assembly make such a proclamation is when the governor and the House of Assembly members fail to make that proclamation within a reasonable time. Now, let's ask ourselves, why did the president declare state of emergency in Rivers State? He gave two reasons. The first is that the governor demolished the House of Assembly complex, and that by that the Supreme Court held that there was no government in Rivers State. And secondly, he gave reason about the demolition of pipelines. Now, when you look at all of this, the Section 305 is not applicable to the two instances highlighted by the president.
Are you not thinking from this angle that this what they call the blowing up of pipelines could lead to anarchy in that state?
Now, thank you. The constitution states specifically that the president.
Don't worry. Let's hear from my brother, Mr. Wande, as a public affairs analyst, and I believe you must have read one or two from people on the line. And by so doing, I wish to see that based on what our barrister had to say, do you have any contrary opinion to Barrister Bankole's view, or you are in support?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, legal luminary. It's a huge privilege to be on the show, and I do not take it for granted.
Thank you.
I would say, firstly, that my friend and my brother here said that at the first instance, that there were no issues, that the issue in Rivers State was self-induced, which I agree with. But he said again that the issues in Rivers State, the political issues in Rivers State, have no standing within the law, and they also have a constitutional standing. That I beg to differ, because ordinarily there are cases that erupted out of this political crisis. We know about the recent Supreme Court judgment. We know there's a pending case in Rivers State High Court, and several other cases which we might not even be aware of. So I think if generally the political crisis in Rivers State does not have constitutional standing, then it will not be a situation. There will not be need for adjudication. Thank you. Then, having said that, I would also like to move to some of the things he addressed. He stated Section 1. I'm not a legal practitioner. I would not argue what the Constitution says. But I think our Constitution is expressly unambiguous for everyone to understand. And I think the aspect of legal interpretation of the Constitution solely lies on, maybe it does not solely lies on a legal practitioner. You interpret the Constitution in court, in the law court, but the Constitution is meant for everybody to read and understand, because ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Thank you. So according to Section 305,
he said that the president does not have the power to proclaim any state, that in case of war or crisis. And I want us to read through they said
I love that.
they said constitutional provision that empowers the president to make that provision, to make that proclamation of state of emergency. Sorry.
I can.
Okay. No. Let me read. He said the president shall have the power to issue a proclamation of state of emergency only when number one.
99 Constitution as
Yes,
amended.
as amended.
That's sub 3.
Yes, sub 3. Yes, I'm starting from sub 3. So he said only when, I think the sub 3 is the only applicable one. I wouldn't say that is applicable to this issue. So he said only when the federation is at war.
Not the federation.
The federation is at war. Okay.
Not the state.
Okay. Then the federation is in imminent danger of invasion or involvement in a state of war. That's true. Yes. Then there is actual breakdown of public order. Note the word public order and public safety in the federation or any part thereof.
In the federation.
To such extent as to require extraordinary measure to restore peace and order. In that particular expert, I'm able to carve out that the Mr. President is hanging on this particular part of the Constitution to make his proclamation, which is legal. Please let me make my submission. The actions and the events in River State is suggestive or is a total breakdown of public peace and order, because we know of vandalism. The Middle Belt has been notorious for vandalizing national assets. So now there is an attack on the national assets. For 1, 2,
and according to the report that we read, it states that already there were three
pipelines that were vandalized already. So that's a major downward turn on the economy of Nigeria.
It's a threat.
Yes, it's a threat on the economy, and it's one way or the other affect the public safety, because nobody can tell what will happen the next day. And Mr. President said in a statement that intelligence reports told him that the governor of the state, which is Simlai Fubara, has folded his hands with no action. Is the president, the number one security officer of the federation, going to fold his arm and let the whole town be burnt down? He's not going to do that. He's acting under the auspices of the law. Then, if you move further, the section D says there is a clear and present. That means okay. Moving further to C says there is actual breakdown of public order. Yes, C.
No,
okay. I just read that. Let me go to D. There is a clear and present danger of an actual breakdown of public order and public safety in the federation or any part thereof, requiring extraordinary measures to avert such danger. If you look at this particular session, it also empowers Mr. President to proclaim a state of emergency.
As long as the states belong to the federation.
This particular part even says if there is a clear, that means there's a projection of a danger. If there is a clear and a present danger that can propel Mr. President to proclaim a state of emergency. When we look at the river issue, Mr. President, in his own might and his own wisdom, has intervened, and some elders, he said it in his statement, the elders have intervened, people intervened. The latest judgment from the Supreme Court propelled another, is what that propelled the action of, probably, I wouldn't say similar to Fubara and his group, but I would say it's what propelled the action of pipeline vandalism. So, and Mr. President sees that, okay, we are just recovering from recession. How are we going to, everything is so expensive now. The economy is what will propel our economy.
Sorry, let me quickly say this. Can you read the entire section and you stop it?
Well, I read the section that was peculiar.
I think based on the question that I asked you, if I decided to pick from part of the section, meanwhile, you as a legal practitioner, you can just expatiate.
Now, let me say this. Now, let's assume, let's assume that everything you have said is correct. If you read through the entirety of section 305 of the Constitution, there is no particular provision or section or subsection from that 305 that says that governance will be suspended. That says you suspend
that empowers the president to suspend
the governor
an executive
or the House of Assembly. No, there's no particular provision in the entirety of 305. Now, let me quickly say this. Yes, you have mentioned all the instances where the president can proclaim state of emergency. Assuming without considering that the pipeline vandalization is the imminent danger or the actual danger or has led to a breakdown in public order and public safety. But before the president can make such a proclamation, now let's go to subsection 4 of 305. It says the governor of a state may, with the sanction of a resolution supported by, that is when that proclamation will become active. Now,
did you underline the word may?
Which is a conditional statement.
May. I will address may, don't worry. The governor of a state may, with the sanction of a resolution supported by 2/3 majority of the House of Assembly, request the president to issue a proclamation of a state of emergency in a state where there is in existence within the state any of the situations specified in sub 3C, D, and E. Now, when you read that sub 3D and E, you realize that that is the only part of where you just read that talk of any part thereof. Every other, the A, the B, and F, G, and all of that, they are talking about the federation. So the only part where the president can make declaration as to a proclamation of the state of emergency is only contained in 3C, D, and E. And if the president wants to exercise such power will only be exercised upon the request of a governor. Now, you were talking about the use of the word may. The use of the word may is a discretionary power given to the governor. It means the governor can do it and may choose not to do it. Now, sub 5 of that 305 now talked about when the governor failed to do it. Now, let me read. It says, the president shall not issue a proclamation of a state of emergency. Shall, not may now. Shall is mandatory. The president shall not issue a proclamation of a state of emergency in any case to which the provision of subsection 4, that is what we read earlier, of this section apply, unless it's conditional. The governor of the state fails within a reasonable time to make a request to the president to issue such proclamation. Now, I started by saying, assuming without considering that the vandalization of pipeline is the reason or the threat to public safety, public order, and there's a word used by the law here, and an imminent danger. Let's assume, without considering now, that is the reason why the president made that proclamation. Will you say that 24 hours is a reasonable time to which the governor can exercise that power of making a request and convening the House of Assembly to make a resolution in support of such request?
What if there were news before then?
Now, it is not, the situation in Rivers is not hypothetical. It is something that actually happened. So the question of what if will not come to play. It is actually a live and real-time issue. There was a bomb blast in less than 12 hours, in less than 6 hours. The president had already issued a proclamation. There was a vandalization in less than 6 hours. 6 hours after 4.
Yes.
Go back to this.
Thank you. To buy time, please let me make a comment. Ms. Barrister, you rightly said that, like I said before we started this engagement, that I'm not a legal practitioner, but I read to understand. when I read. And you said that in section 5 or subsection 5, however, that the president shall not issue a proclamation of a state of emergency in any case to which the provision of subsection 4 of this section apply unless, underline the word unless, the governor of the state fails within a reasonable time to make a request to the president to issue such proclamation. Then that now bring me to a recourse in section, I think the one we read, 3053D. It said, there is a clear and present danger of an actual breakdown of public law and order. Do you know that that's clear and present danger? There is a clear danger before now that there's a tension in River State. There was a tension which Mr. President intervened. He did not, no reasonable governor in his right sense will come to Mr. President to tell him that he should proclaim state of emergency in his state. I don't know if you understand me. It shows incapacitation if you come to Mr. President and says, okay, Mr. President, I'm unable to govern this state properly, and I need you to proclaim a state of emergency on my state. It shows incapacitation. Every governor who is legitimately elected as the chief security officer has the security issues on their hand. Even if Mr. President called him, he will tell Mr. President that we have this under control.
Thanks. So don't let's always waste time on this. If you have another question, please. We'll still come back to this maybe some other time. But quick one. Okay. Mr. Wande, I have a question for you. Okay. And the question goes on. Most people are of the opinion that the minister of the FCT should also be sacked with immediate effect just because he's the major brain behind the crisis of rivers. What is your take on this? Do you agree with the public?
I see that argument. I've seen that a lot of time in social media, and what comes to my mind is, what exactly are these people trying to do? I know we all know that politically, Chief A.S. of Wike is a party to the whole of the drama. But the Chief A.S. of Wike that I know fights with the law. He fights fully armed with the law. The major actor in this political crisis in Rivers was never Wike. Wike was only in the background, but Wike was not the major actor.
I think, based on what you just said, I think that Mr. President should just let him be, just because he's not the major person. I mean, the major face of.
Of course, he has no play. Even the judgment of the Supreme Court does not indict Wike of any crime. The major actor in this case, even Simlai Fubara cannot categorically say that he's fighting Wike. He has it in mind that he's fighting lawmakers. But the lawmakers is fighting an invisible battle with Wike. And the visible enemy is the speaker and the 27 members who deflected. So his animosity or his grievances with Chief A.S. of Wike, the Minister of the FCT, is invisible, is unknown to the law. But his crisis with the House of Assembly is known to the law. And within the jurisdiction of the law, that's where judgment is made.
Thank you. Because of our time. Do you agree with Mr. Wande? Because I read it through on social media. People have been calling on Mr. President that if you want to be fair enough, don't want to be a man of partiality, that we should immediately sack the minister of FCT, Wike.
Now,
so what's your take on this?
For me, my position may sound rather strange.
Okay.
Because it's one that is not common in public space. Now, if you look at, for instance, I've heard people say that, okay, he's not a primary player, or he's not an actual player in the crisis in River State. But Mr. President in his speech said he had brokered peace between the two warring factions. And if you are in this state, you come to realization that at the time when the president was brokering that peace, Nyesom Wike is also a party to the brokering of that peace in Rivers State. However, the intention of the president, though wrongly executed by declaring state of emergency in Rivers State, is to bring calmness to Rivers State and ensure that the vandalization of national assets cease. And if you look at it purely and factually, as far as I'm concerned, Wike is more of a citizen of FCT than Rivers State. As a matter of fact, Wike is the number one citizen in the FCT. So you cannot say that myself, being a citizen of Ondo State, live in Ondo State, and also work in Ondo State, I'm a culprit in an action happening in Ekiti State. It's not possible.
Barrister, I'm so let's leave that. Now, lastly, I don't know if you are aware that
Those
the
in support of this request of Mr. President as amended should say aye.
decision on the state of emergency.
Those in
Proclamation.
support of this request from
And
Mr.
I know.
President as amended should
Yes,
say aye.
surprisingly, I heard that.
Those
Okay,
against should say
now,
nay.
do you think this
The
is
ayes
safe
have
for
it.
democracy?